I want to talk about a couple other things, and I don't want to always come back to Pierre Poilievre, but I want to acknowledge when he's doing a good job. And I think, I see the latest polls out. Conservative Party has about an 8-point lead, depending on, and this isn't just by, quote, right-wing pollsters. I think the Liberals are worried. And you have an 8-point lead. That's not margin of error time. That's a real victory, possibly even a majority government by the Conservatives. And I think one of the reasons is Pierre Poilievre is not as afraid to take on issues as, say, Aaron O'Toole, who was afraid of his own shadow, in my view. And and he's not afraid to lean into the media. And this clip just a couple of days ago, I think this is a CTV reporter, but really it could be any reporter. And this is about bail. This is about criminals, especially violent criminals, getting easy bail. Tamara Leach, 50 days in jail for mischief for the trucker convoy, but violent criminals, it's a revolving door. Watch this exchange, and I'd love your thoughts on this, and let's talk about bail. Take a look.
About bail, the crime has already happened, or the alleged crime has already happened. So how can you attribute bail to this increase in crime and not, should there not be more supportive measures to prevent the crime in the first place?
Well,
If you're talking about someone being on bail, they've already allegedly committed the crime. So
they're committing crimes on bail. That's the problem. The problem is, I'll give you an example. In Vancouver, the same 40 offenders were arrested 6,000 times in a year. That's 150 arrests per offender per year. Why? Because they're arrested in the morning, then they're released on bail by noon, they reoffend, they're back in jail by 2 in the afternoon, and then they're released by the evening so that they can commit their final crime before they go to bed.
It's a failure of the system to not support people who have committed crimes, gone to jail, served their sentence, and then they're committing another crime. So is this not a failure of things like social services and support for people who have committed crimes?
Are you serious?
I'm asking you a
No,
question.
I mean, are you serious? Come on. You're telling me, no, excuse me, let me answer your question. Are you honestly saying that it's society's fault if a repeat violent offender commits 60 or 70 offenses? I think that criminal is to blame for his own actions. He is personally responsible. We're not talking about some kid who made one mistake when he was 19. We're talking about people who do 60, 70 violent offenses.
Why do those people
and then because they're criminals.
But why are they criminals?
Because they do crime.
And why do they do crime?
Because we let them out early on bail.
So because they
I think we've solved the riddle here.
Because they got let out early on bail.
That's right.
They then commit the crime.
That's right.
So
that's what all the experts agree is the cause of the crime.
So had they stayed in jail the whole time, on bail, in jail, not on bail, as you say, they would then not commit crimes?
Because they'd be in jail, so they couldn't commit crimes.
And when they get out at the end of their sentence, they're crime-free?
Well, we can't guarantee that, but what we can guarantee is the period when they're behind bars, they will not be able to do crime.
Wow. I thought he had the right tone. Let's hear your thoughts. What do you think, Manny?
The pure ignorance of that liberal media bias question just makes me irk. Look, it's very simple.
But he didn't seem malicious. Like he seemed truly not to understand.
No, he's wonderful. I don't know how Pierre can do it in such a positive way. I certainly couldn't, but he did a great job in answering that. I mean, Ezra, I don't know why journalists do not do 5 minutes worth of research. Crime is not a new thing. It's been happening since man has hit the planet. And we've been
Cain and Abel.
Yeah, exactly. So we've been taking statistics. Now, Ezra, I have personal knowledge in this. I'm a lawyer. I understand bail. I understand the criminal law system. And B, I was with Mr. Harper in 2005. You might remember Mr. Harper was elected in 2006. A tragic thing happened on Boxing Day 2005, which helped people galvanize and were very upset. A known criminal who had a record, was up for gun charges, was released on bail, and went to settle his crime on Yonge Street, and shot at another person and accidentally killed this beautiful young child, Jane Kriba. Now it rocked me and it rocked Prime Minister Harper, because that young innocent woman died shopping around Christmas on Boxing Day. And that young girl, I mean, she was about the same age and same everything as Prime Minister Harper's daughter. He immediately brought bail reform. Every fool knows that most of the crime are committed by the same people. Mm-hmm. It's a simple research tool. Look at it. About 90% of 80% of the crime are committed by the same 10% of the people. Bail is extremely important. Yeah. So what Prime Minister Harper did was tightened up bail. And statistically, during his prime ministership, gun deaths went down 40%. 40%. You could research it. And then when Trudeau became prime minister, well, of course, the Conservatives are mean and they're racist and whatever he said, and he removed Harper's great laws. And as a practicing lawyer, I'm saying, oh my God, it's working. This is great. What a great move. People are living. People aren't being killed. And so he removed the laws. I remember when he did, and my liberal friends were happy about it. And I'm saying, guys, this is not a good thing. Well, since Justin Trudeau has been in power, gun deaths or homicides have gone up 60%. Mm-hmm. And he's railing and ranting about guns all the time. Ezra, I have a conclusion. I have a theory. And the theory is, back to what we spoke about a little while ago, is the more, now, I mean, it's simple. Ezra, if somebody has an illegal gun, and we've seen nothing but 24/7 news, if you own an illegal gun, it's terrible, that person shouldn't have any bail rights. So it's that simple. Why is that not the law? It's an illegal gun. We know guns are bad. Illegal guns are bad. But I truly believe that Trudeau, and this is a terrible theory, but if you can continue the illegal gun and let these people out and kill themselves, as actually happened, 60% of gun deaths have increased, then you can seize the guns of law-abiding farmers and owners. I don't, because Ezra, if you're guided by fact and you're guided by statistics, it was working. Why did they reverse it? And they didn't. And they reversed it, and there's more gun. And then every time somebody's shot in downtown Toronto or downtown Ottawa with an illegal gun on a score of criminals doing things to each other, all of a sudden we have new gun laws or confiscating somebody in Northern Ontario or Northern Quebec, the farmers' guns. And I think Ezra, I come to the conclusion it's intentional. Yeah. It's intentional.
I might have been skeptical, but my eyes have been opened to the nature of some of this by Dr. James Lindsay, who studies critical theory. And I think there's a difference between a liberal and a communist. And I never used the word communist for years, other than for absolute pure communist. I thought, no, that's too far. That's like calling everyone a Nazi. But the critical Marxist approach to crime, to race, to gender, back to, there's a lot of Marxist ideas like the worse, the better. I don't know if you've ever heard that phrase. Yeah. It's a radical communist idea, which is, they would say, accentuate the contradictions, I think is another way they say it. Trudeau, I think I agree with you, likes violent street crime in the cities. It keeps those voters scared and voting for Trudeau, who promises gun control. Right. He doesn't control the illegal guns in Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver. He punishes lawful, safe gun owners in the prairies, hunters, farmers, ranchers, whatever, people in the rural parts. So he's winning every way. He keeps urban voters afraid, and he offers the solution, which is to pick on conservative, lawful gun owners. The chaos he benefits from it. It goes to the demoralization we talked about earlier. I don't know. I think you're
Yep.
right. You know, can I?
Well, I mean,
go ahead. Go ahead.
as a one small point, we know that illegal guns are the source to about 90% of the gun deaths in Canada. Every Canadian, I don't care if conservative, liberal, whatever, would agree that if an individual Canadian who knows that illegal guns are abhorrent and should never be in anyone's possession, if that person is found with an illegal gun, any person, there should be simple law, no bail, and minimum 10-year sentence. That would alleviate 90% of the crime. But why is that law not in place? We all agree illegal guns, because that will solve the problem.
Yeah.
And liberals don't want to solve gun deaths, gun violence. They talk about making the border more strengthened. No, it's very simple. You have an illegal gun in your possession after hearing everything we've heard about what illegal guns do. You then get no bail, minimum 10-year sentence, and that will dry up. No young punk would be, gang banger would be having an illegal gun. He would say, hey, this is too much. Maybe I'll use a stick or something, or I don't know, my fists. But that's the solution. And it worked with what Harper didn't go that far, but it worked with the strong bail and focus on the problem, not some guy in Saskatchewan that needs guns to defend his property because the RCMP is 200 miles away.
Yeah. That was an excerpt from the Ezra Levant Show. I'm Ezra Levant. Every weekday, I do a monologue about the topic of the day. Then I interview a fascinating guest either in studio or via Skype. And then I read your mail, whether it's fan mail or hate mail, which is sometimes even more interesting. This is on our premium service, though, called Rebel News Plus. Go to rebelnewsplus.com. It's $8 a month or less if you buy a whole year in advance. You get my show every weeknight, plus Sheila Gunn Reid's show every week. It's called The Gun Show. It's pretty amazing. You know, we rely on you because we do not take a dime from the government. In Canada, that makes us almost unique. So please help us out and help yourself to some great journalism at rebelnewsplus.com.